Hey guys, my name is Ryan Central and welcome back to another Anthem news video. I spoke about doing videos like this the other week. Essentially it would boil down to a weekly roundup of all of the news, the AMA stuff that Mark Darrah has been putting on Twitter, and just stuff that you may have missed. Ideally in the future I'm looking to do 2 videos a week on Anthem up until more information gets revealed, the alpha, the beta, that kind of thing, so if you are interested in more Anthem content then do subscribe to the channel and I'll be sure to do more in the future. We've got a lot of stuff to go over, so I'll get started talking about the main thing. There's going to be an Anthem trailer this weekend. This will be played at the Tokyo Game Show, which is happening this weekend, and Sony today revealed the lineup for the show, what games were going to have trailers, what games were going to be playable at the event. There's all sorts of games there: FIFA 19, Fortnite, Street Fighter, and of course Anthem. The game isn't playable at the event, but there is a trailer. The issue is we don't necessarily know if it's going to be a new trailer or if it's going to be the Our World My Story trailer, but just in Japanese. It'd be nice to see some more gameplay at this event. I think it would be a good time to show it, get people excited about the game, but not revealing too much, especially around classes like the Interceptor and the Storm, where we don't have any real gameplay of how either of them work. So fingers crossed it is something new. Speaking of things that I really want to see, Michael Gamble, who is one of the lead producers on Anthem, says that he's thinking about streaming with the other lead producer, Ben Irvine, potentially doing a live stream playing a game together. And of course, we want that. That sounds amazing. If you ever watch this, Michael, please do that. That sounds great, and I think it would alleviate a lot of the concerns with the game if we could just see monthly for a couple of hours or so, just stuff in the game. If it's pre-planned or whatever, that's great. Gives us a lot more to talk about too. But yes, please. Now we'll go over some stuff that Mark Darrah has said on Twitter, along with some news reports, but we're going to be talking about Endgame content first, starting with dailies. In case you didn't know, Mark Darrah is the executive producer, basically the face of Anthem. Mark received a question: are there daily log-in rewards and are there daily missions? For example, kill 50 grabbits, successfully complete 4 strongholds. And Mark Darrah said that there will be daily things. Wasn't any more specific on that. Could be kill quests, bounties like in Destiny, general stuff to do, but there will be daily content that gives you incentive to log in every single day to complete. He was also asked if players would still be able to progress after completing the main storyline. He said yes, for sure, this is a huge part of the game. He was also asked after launch how will content be added, just wondering if there is going to be a 6-month content drought, and he replied, we plan content a lot more frequently than that, more details later. This also deeply coincides with the US Gamer interview with Mark Darrah and Michael Gamble. They were asked if there is a lot of flexibility with the dev team. The interviewer spoke with another live service developer earlier this year, and they have 4 teams working on new content to pump them out at a regular clip. Mark Darrah was like, that's exactly the same for us. I can't remember the number, but we have sort of 4, 5 or 6 streams going on at once. He also said, you know you're going to do this kind of content and you want to do it every 3 months, but it takes 5 months to work on it, so you need to have 2 of those going on at the same time. But also it may just be things like, okay, well, we're going to have 1 stream of people working on the quality of life improvements and 1 group working on the kind of deep feed narrative stuff, or this kind of person is going to be working on all of the holiday events. So they have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts when it comes to endgame content, which is honestly quite relieving and nice to hear. Another question that was brought up is whether there would be crossplay when Anthem launches. Mark says not at launch. Another really interesting question that Mark Darrah was asked was about the difficulty system. Will the difficulty system be anything like Diablo 3? Once you reach the hardest difficulty, it escalates in tiers. For example, easy, normal, hard, expert, expert 2, expert 3, so on and so forth. Cool system for when new gear is added to the game, and he says yes. So I guess this would act like Mythic Dungeons in World of Warcraft. You have the difficulty constantly going up, and being able to get better gear doing the same content is a nice way to at least extend some of the shelf life of some of the strongholds in these missions, but hopefully that's just not the future of the game to an extent. Speaking of gear, loot, and how abilities work in the game, there's a lot of questions that have to do with that topic. The first question that I want to go over is if you're running and playing on a certain javelin, will the loot that you pick up be for the one that you're playing, or will it be random? Mark says it will be biased on the javelin you are currently using, but other things will also drop. This was followed up by Justin, who said so you can get javelin specific gear like a cannon for the Colossus that you wouldn't be able to equip on a ranger, and Mark says yes. On a similar thing, he says that rangers cannot use heavy guns like miniguns, and Colossuses can't use pistols. I did want to take an an old tweet talking about gear, as Mark Darrah says that there will be set bonuses that you can essentially get, and I think one of them is with the pre-order of Anthem. Whether that has set bonus specific traits, I'm not too sure, but it is a full set of gear that you can get just by pre-ordering the game. Another question to do with loot and rarity came in from Justin asking, with the higher tier gear, for example the ancient and legendary gear, will our freelancers have to be a certain level to acquire them or equip them? And he says yes, I think so. Now we go on to a question that actually kinda worried me. The tweet is no longer available, but it essentially asked, can you change and re-equip gear out in the open? And Mark Darrah says no, you have to go back to Fort Tarsis or your Strider to re-equip weapons. And whilst I can understand that with javelins and loadouts, being able to change a weapon seems a bit drastic. I like that idea in Destiny where you can switch up your weapon and your gear fairly easily, so going back to Fort Tarsis or your Strider every single time that you want to make a change might be a bit taxing and a little bit annoying after a certain amount of time. But it may interact and be a little bit different to Destiny, but it does concern me and does make me think that I might get tired of constantly going back to Fort Tarsis or my Strider just to constantly change gear for a mission. But it's a very minor concern. He was asked a similar question that gave a bit more of a established answer, saying that you can change loadouts, which were also confirmed this week, being able to change up gear, save different loadouts and weapons. But you can change out all of this at Fort Tarsis or in the Strider. The ultimate will be fixed at launch, and this is because another person asked him, can you change ultimates? And he says no, not at launch. He then answers in another question that we aren't discussing post-launch, but it is a piece of gear like everything else, because all of your abilities are gear that you pick up and loot and you can put into your loadouts. And finally, a bit of interesting tidbit of information from the Colossus, confirming something that we spoke about in the class breakdown video that we did a couple of weeks ago. Ashley asked the question to Mark Darrah, saying, is the game set up for tank damage support roles? If so, is Colossus the only tank, or can other javelins be equipped for a tank role? Mark then says the Colossus has some explicit aggro control available, but everyone can tank in theory. And it either seems that there's going to be abilities, loadouts, talents that the Colossus may be able to use that will give them a way to aggro targets and be able to mitigate the damage that's thrown at them. But that's maybe something that will go over another day. I'd like to have a big breakdown on how leveling or the gearing system works, what we know so far, which are big questions that get asked quite a lot. I'd love maybe this weekend to do a video going over one of those big topics. But that's all of the news that I wanted to go over. There's quite a lot of stuff in there. Mostly is just Mark Darrah responding to people on Twitter, but there's still a lot of information that I did want to get out there. I am very excited for this weekend. Hopefully we get to see some more Anthem stuff in relation to new gameplay. That'd be really excited, but completely understandable if not, when EA's focus is on stuff like Battlefield's launch and such. We'll see how that all goes. But thank you very much for watching. Again, if you enjoyed all of this, do like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Take care.